Am I the asshole for using my boyfriend's toothbrush to clean the toilet whenever I get mad at him? Anytime I get mad at him, I just find little ways to sabotage him. Disclaimer, is not my story time, I sent him on Instagram. My boyfriend and I have been together for 2 years. From the beginning of the relationship, I had to chase him. He was dating a few girls when I first met him, but I managed to bag him. The problem is that he knows that I was the one that was chasing him. He never had to court me or anything, so he knows he can get away with a lot. For example, we live together and he never cleans the apartment. He automatically assumes that I will do his laundry, his cooking, and cleaning. I have to make the bed every single morning when we both get up. I have to make him his breakfast and literally be his mother the entire day. Worst of all, we've both been working from home because of COVID. So this means I have to cater to him all day long, even when I'm in my meetings. And because I don't want to cause any fights or confront him about it, I started to retaliate in my own way. Number 1, I started cleaning the toilet with his toothbrush. Sounds terrible, I know. I need some way to release this anger though. It gets worse. Part 2 is up. Am I the asshole for using my boyfriend's toothbrush to clean the toilet? Because he uses me as his personal maid, I had to find a way to retaliate. Using his toothbrush on the toilet was the clear answer, but it didn't stop there. Anytime he would leave his dishes unclean or ask me to do his laundry, I started to do other things. Recently, I've been putting dairy in his food, which I know he can't have because it gives him the runs. I switched out his special shampoo for regular old Dollar Tree shampoo. Anytime his packages would arrive, I would just hide them somewhere in the apartment, and whenever he would go crazy waiting for it, I would finally say, "Oh, this package? Oh, that's been here for like 4 days already." The look on his face was so worth it. A few nights ago, after I worked all day and cleaned and made him his food, he asked me for a massage. By the way, it was 7 p.m. and I was finally ready to relax myself. So I told him that I didn't feel like it because I was tired. Instead, I poured myself a glass of wine, sat down on the couch, and started watching a movie. He decided to throw a tantrum. He stood in front of the TV and asked me for a massage again. I mean, he's a grown man. Part 3 is up. Am I the asshole for using my boyfriend's toothbrush to clean the toilet? After he stood in front of the TV blocking my view, he asked me for a massage a second time. And once again, I said, "No, I'm tired." Then he starts complaining about the lunch I made him. He said the pasta was overcooked and the sauce tasted weird, which it probably did because I did put dairy in it. Instead of holding my ground, I told him fine. And I proceeded to give him a 30-minute massage when I was so tired myself. I'm sure you're wondering if I love him. The answer is yes. I love him very much, which is why I don't want to break up with him, but I'm really close to having had enough. He never offers to help me. He never offers me a massage. He expects me to clean and do everything for him. When I've asked him for help, he doesn't really want to. So I don't think he's gonna change that part of himself. But I do have fun with him and he's an amazing guy. I don't know what to do. Should I leave him? Should I stay? Or do you guys have any ideas on what sabotages I could do next? Help a girl out. Bye.
This is why you should be careful who you believe. Once there was a girl named Danny who lived with her parents, but one day she came home and found something terrifying. She went to the kitchen to get some water, but dropped the glass and screamed in terror. On the floor, she saw the body of her mother. Then her father burst into the room. He said, "Danny, listen carefully. Your mom was trying to run away and abandon us. We got in a fight. She fell. It was an accident. I'm so sorry." Danny was in shock, but nothing could have prepared her for what her father said next. "We had to get rid of the evidence ourselves. If the neighbors ask questions, just say she ran away with another man." Danny ran upstairs to her room in tears. That's when she found something strange. On her bed was a suitcase with all her clothes folded inside. On top of the suitcase was a note. It said, "Danny, I packed your things. We need to leave. Your father has gone insane."
Storytime, how I found out my substitute teacher was actually my biological father. So of course I went to school for our usual class and our teacher wasn't there. So we had a substitute that day and I could have sworn that I recognized him, but I couldn't tell from where. There would be times during the lecture where I would look up and he would just be looking at me. I felt like there was a weird connection between the two of us, but I didn't exactly know where to place it. Since it was the last hour of the day, he asked me to stay after class. I immediately got the creeps and said no, I had to catch my bus. And I hadn't seen him for weeks after that. Some days later, I noticed a for sale sign on my neighbor's yard. So during their open house, I decided to peek out my window and see who was visiting. And there he was, my substitute teacher. I got the creeps and I just ran upstairs to focus on something else. Once the house sold and the move-in trucks came in, I saw that it was my substitute teacher that actually bought it. I was terrified but still felt this weird connection. That's when my mom offered for us to bring cookies over to his house. She said it was the neighborly thing to do, so that's what we did. So we went to go knock on his door. Stay tuned for part 2 and add me on Instagram. Okay, so part 2 to finding out my substitute teacher was actually my biological father. So the whole interaction between my mom and him was so odd. He was clearly high, so my mom just set the cookies down on his front door. And we just left. Many nights after that, I just felt like someone was always watching me. I constantly got the creeps, and I would just notice like little stuff going missing. But I never thought it was that big of a deal. But a few days later, this man invited us over for a dinner, and my mom made me go. And it was just as strange. Like, I could tell that my mom was so uncomfortable. I asked to be excused to go to the bathroom, and once he showed me where it was, I did a little bit of snooping. In a room close to his bathroom, there was pictures of us. Like my mom and I and baby pictures of me, and also recent pictures that we were completely unaware of. I ran downstairs and grabbed my mom and told her that we had to leave. She agreed, and once I told her about the pictures, we filed a police report. The police told me he was my biological father, and he was in the process of searching for me for 3 years. And to this day, my mom has still not talked to me about the situation. Sometimes you have to
Story time about how my mom got with my sister's boyfriend. So a little background information. I was 13 and in 8th grade, and my sister was a senior in high school and she was 17. And my sister always had a new boyfriend. Like after 3 months of dating somebody, they would break up and then she would be with a new guy a month later. And this started whenever she was a sophomore. So yeah, she had a lot of boyfriends. Anyway, so she had started dating this boy, and we're gonna call him Ben. Well, lucky for Ben, whenever they started dating was right around the time when we were supposed to go on our vacation that we take every year. So my mom and dad said that he could come with us. So my sister, who we're gonna call Emily, she decided to bring Ben, and I decided to bring one of my friends, Carly. We drove down, everything was good for the first 2 days, and usually what would happen on this vacation is my dad would end up staying at the hotel and doing work while we were all out doing stuff. So my mom, Ben, and Emily were all out drinking at the bar 24/7. Like for part 2. Part 2 about how my mom got with my sister's boyfriend. So like I said, Emily, Ben, and my mom were out drinking 24/7 at the bar. And since this was a vacation that we took every year, my sister already knew a bunch of people down there. The one night my mom started feeling really sick at the bar, so Ben offered to take her back to the hotel. And at this time, my friend, my dad, and I were all down at the buffet in the hotel. So Ben took my mom upstairs to our hotel room, and my dad was like, "Oh, do you guys want to walk down to the fair?" We said yes, so he told us to go upstairs and get his wallet. So my friend and I go up in the elevator to our room, and I want to say this was about 20 or 30 minutes after Ben and my mom had went upstairs. So we get into the room, we hear the shower running, which was weird because we didn't think anybody was there. So instead of me calling my dad because it might have been a murderer, I go, and the door slightly creaked open, so I look through the door, and obviously I could hear you know what, but hers and his clothes were on the floor. Like for part 3.
I have a movie idea. Hear me out. A woman in her mid-20s decides to sell her eggs. I mean her eggs. The eggs that turn into babies. She finds out that a couple purchases her eggs. But there are rules when it comes to this stuff. She's not supposed to know who they are. She's not supposed to have any sort of contact with the child. Understandable. So this couple used this woman's egg. They got pregnant and had a beautiful baby girl. But 3 years later, the mother gets into a tragic accident. About 6 months after the accident, the man meets a new woman. She's kind, mysterious, and she treats his daughter as if she was her own. What this man doesn't know is that woman is the mother of his child. Does the woman know that that's her kid? Will the father ever find out? Did the woman plan this all along? And was his wife's accident really an accident? I need a job.